You ever watch a moment like this and think, a table changed everything? Today we're diving into Rosie Ramsey's viral moment, not to dissect the tears, but to unpack what that small, personal edge reveals about parenting, memory, and the stories we tell online. Let me walk you through it as if we're breaking down a scene in a show, with the kind of analysis that makes you nod along and scroll a little deeper for the truth behind the emoji reaction. What actually happened is simple on the surface. Rosie is emotional about replacing a long-standing dining table. But the reaction to that moment, the empathy, the shared memories, the sudden wave of nostalgia, exposes a deeper truth. Furniture isn't just stuff. It's an archive of meals, messy birthday candles, family quarrels over who left the chair at the end of the table, the small rituals that stitched a household together. Personally, I think that's why this tiny, everyday object became a trigger. It's not just a table, it's a vessel for a family's timeline. What makes this really interesting is how quickly the frame shifts from heart-wrenching sentiment to a candid admission. It's hormones, it's timing, it's humans being imperfect in the most ordinary way. In my opinion, the clip embodies a broader pattern we see online, highly personal disclosures that blend vulnerability with humor, turning a private moment into a shared, almost communal catharsis. From my perspective, the sequence, tearful confession, followed by a practical line about, "It's just a table," then a quick pivot to normalcy, is a blueprint for how creators manage emotional content without tipping into performative melodrama. For every key idea Rosie taps into, there's a layer of interpretation you can't miss. First, the table isn't just a piece of furniture, it's a repository of family life. What this really suggests is that sentiment is anchored in physical spaces we revisit daily. A detail I find fascinating is how such objects accrue meaning through repetition. Every family meal, homework session, or toy spill adds a stitch to the memory quilt. This raises a deeper question, as items become symbols of era endings. Do we actually mourn the moment of transition or the accumulation of lived moments we fear losing? Second, the timing element matters. She admits the emotional spike was tied to being heavily on my period, a blunt honesty that many viewers resonate with. What many people don't realize is how hormonal cycles amplify emotional perception, causing ordinary events to feel 10 times more significant. If you take a step back and think about it, this shows how public platforms can amplify our internal weather, the mood swings, the sudden tenderness, the impulse to overdramatize in a safe, performative space. Third, the reaction from viewers is a social mirror. Comments range from shared nostalgia to practical tips from, "I cried over a car change," to, "Peri-menopause relatable." This is less about the table and more about a social contract. We publicly reveal vulnerability, others respond with solidarity or guidance, and the conversation adds value beyond the original moment. This connects to a bigger trend, the rise of everyday storytelling as a legitimate, monetizable form of empathy, where creators mine ordinary life for universal resonance. Deeper insight here is about memory stewardship in the digital age. DIY memes aside, Rosie's clip nudges us to ask, what do we preserve, and what do we release? The IKEA table itself will eventually be replaced or discarded, but the emotional archive, the feelings, the shared reactions, the community comments, may outlive the object. A detail I find fascinating is how the platform's permanence creates a paradox. Ephemerality of a moment is preserved as content, making the end of an era feel both fleeting and immortal. From a practical standpoint, this kind of content signals a shift in how creators narrate the mundane. The hook is not a shocking event, it's the universal human truth tucked inside a mundane event. What this really suggests is that audiences crave authenticity wrapped in relatable ritual, not polished spectacle. One thing that immediately stands out is Rosie's candid disposition. She doesn't pretend the table is heroic. She acknowledges the silliness, the sentiment, and the hormonal blur. That blend is what keeps viewers watching, because it mirrors real life, messy, contradictory, and surprisingly moving. If we zoom out, you can see a visible pattern. Ordinary objects become anchors for collective memory, personal health factors are valid fuel for storytelling, and communities rally around shared humanity rather than perfection. This is not just a viral moment about a dining table, it's a case study in how modern creators cultivate intimacy at scale. Closing thought: memories don't vanish, they migrate to new forms. Rosie's video is a reminder that endings, end of an era, end of a table, end of a chapter, are often just prologues to the next phase, and our willingness to narrate them aloud is what keeps communities connected. For viewers, the question becomes, what everyday thing in your life would you cry over on camera, and what would you say about it once the tears pass? Share your thoughts below, and tell me what ordinary object holds your most vivid memory right now.